Dynast.
Dynast.
Dynast, yes, sir. Dynast,
okay.
Dynast Amir, yes, sir.
Okay.
All right, people, we are live tonight. Search for Uhuru, Dynast Amir, and I have the brother Tony Nwosu. Did I say that correct, Tony?
Call me Emeka.
Emeka.
Emeka Nwosu.
Emeka Nwosu. Yeah. Nigeria, is that Nigerian name?
It's Nigerian name, Igbo.
Igbo, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I plan on going to Benin City and Ife next year.
Okay.
You got people in Benin City?
Much about Nigeria on the ground, because I grew up most of my life. I grew up in this country. I experienced the Civil War.
Okay.
And then after the Civil War ended in 1970, I came over.
Biafra.
More or less lived all my life here. But of recent, since about 2008 onwards, interest in the motherland, my country, Nigeria. Okay. And I follow the politics very, very closely. In the history of the politics, and I really studied the politics of Nigeria. I'm very knowledgeable about Nigerian politics and the state of affairs in Nigeria at the moment. Even though I've only a few weeks here and there.
Okay, so you visited
40 years.
So you visited since you left.
Visiting,
okay.
Yeah.
Okay. People say I look Igbo.
Yeah.
Is that true?
You do. Yeah, of course. You do, because you're quite fair skinned.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. People say I look Igbo because I'm fair.
I think they're one of the more fairer skinned of the tribes.
Yeah, so that's
probably the only reason, really.
Yes, sir. So your family left because of the Civil War to go to the UK? Let me ask you this: why did they choose the UK over America? Do you know why? Or
my father was a top civil servant. It was one of the first to be educated in his village. The first to have a car, and he was a top civil servant in this 1965. He was sent abroad on a study to do some studies in the UK. When he was in the UK doing his studies when the Civil War. So he was more or less stuck in the UK whilst his family, were still in Nigeria. Or ended, then it was just natural for us to join him in the UK, and that's just why it wasn't there was a decision to be made. It was just consequent. The events were how things were at the time. It was just more convenient for us to come to the UK because he was already settled there.
Okay. Yeah. So the Civil War, is that the Biafra War that you're referring to?
The Biafra War that started in 1967 ended in 1970. I was 3 years old. Little bits and pieces of it, and how used to come to the villages, and young man that's over about 14, and take him along. So some of my dress as women when they come.
Wow.
Their mothers would dress them in women's clothes and get them to bend down over a pot cooking, but they need to be cooking. Stopped by the to join the war, So, and I remember we were starving and the Biafran side. I was in the breakaway. We were in the Igbos, yeah. And so a 5-year-old or 3 to 5-year-old mind, you know, those sort of things I remember would just stay in stables, trying to, in the early stages, and then later on, as the war progressed, how we were starving, people were just eating, people couldn't find food. The blockade, the army blockaded any ports. All the Nigerian army blockaded all the ports and sort of surrounded the Biafra. So that's what really ended the war. We're starving, couldn't do anything to stop the starvation, so they had to then surrender. They all died of starvation. One of the, you know, all of us, I was one of those children with this bloated stomach, which is a consequence of malnutrition, a lack of protein. So I was one of those, and I was very lucky to survive because that condition. It's called choker. Yeah, and also remember there was an illness going along which my sisters had, which was called standstill, mental or physiological condition. But you'll be just walking, and then suddenly you stand still. You can't move like a statue. You can be there for well, it seemed in my mind, it seemed like hours, probably maybe a few minutes. And consequence or psychological trauma, the fear of mines, something like that. We don't know. There hasn't been much research done about it or much talk about it since. I distinctly remember that condition. So that's a bit about the war.
Yeah, but let me ask you this, and then we'll get to the topic. Can you go into detail on how the Biafra War actually started? So I'm guessing after Nigeria gained independence from the UK or from Britain, you know, can you just kind of tell the story of Nigeria leading up to Biafra War after independence from Nigeria? I mean, independence from Britain.
Yeah. I can tell my perspective, but every region of Nigeria will have their own version. I'll tell the Igbo version.
Go ahead.
You know, every region will have their own twist on it.
So let me ask you this: do you consider yourself Biafra? You know, are you Biafran?
No, I was Biafran. I am not longer Biafran because Biafra doesn't exist. I was Biafran when we broke away. 7.
Okay.
The current one now, I don't consider that as a serious thing. I think it's more a political. That is my own personal perspective.
Okay.
On the current situation, because there is no for it. Let me tell you a little bit about how I can't recall all the of the politics at the time.
Okay.
What I do understand is that when we were given independence, in their wisdom of always trying to destabilize or divide and rule, they ensure that more educated the northerners. And then
now when you say the northerners, is that the Yoruba, the Hausa, like who are the northern?
The Hausas, the Fulunis, the people, the Muslims.
Okay.
Nigeria.
The Muslim.
Yeah.
Okay, so are you Muslim or are you Christian?
Christian in the south. We're Christians in the south. The Igbos are Christians.
Okay.
99% Christians are Igbos, and the Northerners are the same.
So we're talking we're talking like Kano, that area up north. Am I right or am I wrong?
Yeah, the northern states in Nigeria, like Sokoto, Borno State, half of, just if you divide the Nigerian half, yeah, is all northern states. That's what they classified as. We'll call some of it middle states, but
Okay.
they have I know the Abuja, even Abuja is all considered northern Nigeria, northern states. So, but so largely left uneducated. The British did that by design, and the Southerners, who they've allowed to get some education, than the Yorubas mainly, but the Igbos were very well educated, and they were the people who were really, and the people who were going all over the country, projects and working and business. For the progressive people, the Igbos. But then what they did, and when they gave us independence, they sort of engineered it, got power, they got the control of the country, the uneducated ones, and obviously they didn't know what they were doing, because they had some very good government, obviously were educated, but the masses of the Northerners were not. And what happened then is going all over the country, doing all the jobs that Northerners should be doing, but they don't have the education to do. So in short, the Northerners, there came a time when Northerners started to Igbos. And in fact, it wasn't just in the northern states, it also went in the western states, the Yorubas as well. Igbos started getting massacred.
You said okay, so you're saying the Hassa and the Fulanis were massacring were massacring the Igbos.
Yeah, because Igbos were all over the country doing jobs. Yeah, and then because of how the British engineered it, this is what they do. That's what it does. Yeah. And then we just played into their plan. There became a time when there was resentment. They started to massacre Igbos. In short, I'm not really going into a lot of details about.
That's fine. That's right, because I'm sure that's a whole nother video itself.
Yeah, I don't want to go into too much details. Otherwise, we'll be talking about all night.
All night, yeah. So let me ask you: where were the Yoruba during this entire situation?
They were siding largely with the Hausas, because they also resented the Igbos.
Okay.
Yeah, they were siding. So the Igbos were not only being massacred in the northern states, they were being massacred in the Yoruba areas where they were also working, like Lagos and so forth. And then at that time, so I have skipped because there had been a military coup. The Igbos and Yorubas coup to overthrow one prime minister. The bloody coup. He was assassinated. Yeah, and many of the northern government officials were also assassinated. This was in 1966, January 1966.
Okay.
In an Igbo leader, military ruler, General Ironsi, who led for about 6 months the Northerners, the Hausas, who then assassinated the Igbo military ruler, Ironsi. And then General Gowon came into power. it was when General Gowon came into power, the Hausas, the Hausas and the Muslim part of Nigeria, massacre the Igbos that were living in the north, all over the country. So they were rushing. In fact, there were sometimes hundreds of Igbos cut off their heads and load them onto trains and send the trains back to the south. Igbo. So people were just running for their life. All the Igbos were just running for their lives. So that was how the military ruler of the Igbo region at the time, General Emeka Ojukwu, my namesake, Ojukwu, yeah? He then said that we need to either stop the massacre or we're going to go and form our own country. I tried to some talks with General Gowon, the Nigerian military ruler. They went to Aburi in Ghana, and they had what they called Aburi Accord, where they decided they're going to have a confederation where each region. And then when they came back after the agreement, General Gowon, the Nigerian leader, I don't think he felt he had he made a good deal. He reneged on the agreement, dragged his feet on implementing it. We're still being massacred. So in May the 30th, 1967, General Ojukwu, the Igbo military ruler, after consulting with Igbo elders and the Igbo people, laterally declared the state of Biafra. And he said, one of his messages was that once you cross this line in the land, you can run from, but once you cross this line, that they'll be safe from massacre. Really how the Biafran situation came about. Obviously, he declaring it unilaterally meant that he done it without the consent of General Gowon, the Nigerians' agreement. Started what they call police action, which eventually led. That's how the war came about.
Okay. Well, let's get to the subject matter at hand. And that would be what there's an echo. You there? Okay, cool.
Yeah, I'm okay. I can hear you clearly.
Okay, cool. And that would be what Africans need to do to control their own destiny. People in the chat room, how's the sound on my end? Press 1 if the sound is good. And also if the sound is better than my usual podcast, because I have this new microphone. So I want to make sure that the mic is working. So please press 1 in the chat room if the sound is good, if you can hear me clearly. Okay, but let's go ahead and get into the subject matter at hand for tonight. And that's what Africans need to do to control their own destiny. So Tony, go ahead. At first, let's start off with some of the issues you see globally and, in the UK, because that's where you're at, and just in Nigeria as well, because that's where you're originally from. What issues do you see, and what do we need to do in order to change that around?
Wow, man, I don't know where to start. We have so much issues, man. I truly believe that we're on the extent of the Africans, if you call it what you like, we're all the same. We're all African.
Right.
Wherever we came from, wherever we are now, we're all African. Our experiences are mirror images of themselves. The experience that you as African in America, from or the experience that I experienced as an African in Europe, or experience of Africans back home, same similar experience.
Because, I agree, absolutely. Go ahead.
Yeah, because we're all basically enslaved, either partly mentally enslaved, and partly we are economically enslaved. Yeah, and it's very similar, very similar mirror images that we have all over the world. Black people. Now, what some of the issues we have is, number one issue, I think, attempt to depopulate the world.
Right.
I know some people will call it conspiracy theory, but it is, I think it is very real. Africans are gonna get the worst of it. We black people, I mean, we've had cases. We've had cases in the US of them discovering that their water is poisoned in parts of US with high levels of lead.
In Flint, Michigan. Like Flint, Michigan.
Yeah, exactly.
Black areas, yeah.
Yeah. And then, so you can imagine what they will be doing in Africa. I mean, there is cases. It's been reported that the fuel that they have an Africa brand diesel that they export to Africa, which has higher levels of sulfur and toxins in it, dangerously higher levels that Europeans and the first world will not use. What they call it Africa grade, and they deliberately export these levels of fuel, of diesel fuel, gas, as you call it in the States, for cars to Africa. That's just one example. So nobody knows what else they're doing. They're importing lots of other things that we consume. What they're doing to poison us. But what I can tell you is that so many people are dying in Africa. If you're in Africa, you will see so much death. So than when I'm in the UK. If you go to my village, here you will not stay a month without there's almost always some funeral of somebody who's died. The local people, but you go down to you look at the media, even our celebrities, they will just die and they say they died of one illness or the other, they had a short illness or whatever. People just die. So there is something going on. So that is one issue. Depopulation, our depopulation. I don't want to get too much into it because otherwise it'll be another program. Yeah.
Right.
But there is there's that aspect, and then there's the economic issues that we have, that we face. One of the issues is that in the States, for instance, they have a prison.
Yeah, school to prison pipeline. School to prison pipeline.
Yeah, pipeline. Yeah. So they have that. In the UK, if you can call it similar, but the thing is that it's very difficult to talk about the equal opportunities, to get equal opportunities. You know what I mean? If you go for good education, you rarely get the job that you deserve. The UK is much better than Europe, the rest of Europe. They're very blatantly racist. It's very difficult. Masters, degrees, and PhDs. It'd be very difficult for you to get an office job. You know what I mean? You probably have to work in a menial type of job to make your living. Yeah. The UK being better is still not good enough. Yeah, because you will not get what you will never get what you deserve. And then that's the people who are actually educated. The ones who are not educated, and then they got a similar route to that they're having this in the States, the school to prison pipeline sort of thing. Police would sort of harass people, and if they're not employed or whatever. That's the economic part. On the other level, on the other side, on the government side, in Africa,
yes.
They say, let me talk about Nigeria.
Go ahead. How do you feel about Buhari?
Yeah, Buhari is a guy. He's one of the guys that I actually admire a great deal. Photo of him, yeah. He's even though I'm from the Igbo side, and he's mostly northern Nausa Fulani. He's a great human being. He's got a very good heart, and he really wants to the country. Yeah,
right.
Buhari. This is not his first time of being the head of state. He came once before, briefly for 18 months or 20 months, in 1984. Military ruler. He came in after the government of Shagari, Shehu Shagari, was overthrown. So he came in as the military ruler, and then he himself was overthrown 20 months later by General Babangida. Yeah. Okay. So, but in that short time he was there for 20 months, him to like him and know that he really wants to sort the country out, because when he came in 1983, was fight corruption to a standstill. Every single government official was thrown into jail.
Right.
Proved they had not stolen money. As a military ruler, and then he wasn't following the dictates of IMF, dictates of IMF and World Bank and the hegemony. He wasn't following that. Why he was overthrown ultimately. He was really trying to sort the country out back then in 1984, 30 years ago. 33 years ago now. So when he came back as a democratic ruler, president in 2015, already, because I already knew intention of sorting the country out. He first things that Nigeria became such a of corruption, such a pathetic amount. The corrupt. It was earning. We were earning oil. The oil prices were 120 at 100 or 110 barrel for most of years previously, and yet pay salaries. Yeah, they couldn't pay salaries, simple salaries of the workers. They couldn't pay. Complete a single infrastructure project in the five or 6 years of the previous government power. Fund the military enough to hold off Boko Haram, who had seized territory in the northern states, up to 15 or more government areas, were controlled by Boko Haram. And the Nigerian army was such a joke that we were running from Boko Haram, who were presumably a ragtag bunch of militants. The whole Nigerian army couldn't crush a handful of militants.
Of course not.
So that was the pathetic state that he came in. So he has dealt with Boko Haram, funded the army. There's no more doubt of they say Boko Haram being a force. No more territory. They don't have a single local government area. They now resort to blowing up young girls that they captured, bombs on them, and sending them to market and blowing them up. So soft targets, basically. They can't face the Nigerian military anymore. So he has done that. That is one achievement he's already accomplished. Yeah, he sorted out the Boko Haram issue. Military sense. He cannot do anything about terrorism. Nobody can stop people blowing themselves up. That's impossible. But he's done what he needs to do. He has secured territories. Yeah. So he has my support. I give him kudos for that. Nobody can deny that about Buhari. He's also fought corruption, but the problem is that he cannot fight corruption the way he did in 1984, because this is now a democratic government through corrupt people. In order to fight corruption, you need the help of the corrupt members of the National Assembly, the corrupt Senate, and the help of the corrupt House of Representatives, all of them earning salary over $1 million per annum. All their claims, additional claims on their salary. The average, not just each member of the National Assembly, after they made all their claims, just $1 million. So this is why they're corrupt. They're not. They awarded themselves that amount of money. Trying to get these people to help you fight corruption is an uphill battle, but he cannot do it without them. You see, that's the constitution, and what Nigeria needs is a new constitution. One of the things that we have in Nigeria now, fuel scarcity. You cannot develop without, and fuel scarcity generally happens because we don't have refineries. Nigeria has allowed its refineries over the years, and when Buhari came into power, actually fixed the refineries, and then immediately he fixed it. Immediately he fixed, I think he fixed Kaduna, and he was about to start to get it online. Mm-hmm. We had 4 refineries that are not really working, but he fixed one, and he was going to start getting it online to start working. The next week, it was blown up. Wow. Somebody blew it up. This is what you're facing when you have corrupt people in the system. Yeah, if it wasn't like it's not. If he was a military ruler, he would just round everybody up, put them in jail. But he can't do that. The National Assembly, he's asked the National Assembly to produce a bill, a piece of legislation that would help the oil industry to work better. and to give out contracts better. Assembly has had this bill on their hands in their possession, and they've sat on it for about 8 years. And it's also asked them to create a new court, a special court, trial corruption cases. Yeah, and they're also dragging their feet on that. That's what happens when you have corrupt people being your legislators. They can, and there's nothing you can do because our constitution allows them to do that nonsense. It was drafted by corrupt generals. Yeah, after Abacha incidentally was one of the great leaders of Africa, and he was not corrupt as many people said. He was not actually corrupt. But that will be another program, because I have he has what the guy achieved with oil price $15 per barrel in his entire 4 years is a miracle. He could not have been corrupt. Simple thing. But after Abacha, they put in a series of corrupt leaders that and they introduced this criminal constitution, which allows people to loot any consequence, and you can basically loot as much as you like and get away with it. And all this is obviously being sponsored. What do I call it? The world powers. The world powers, the people who rule the world, the US, the Europeans, sponsoring the damage of Nigeria. This is whole Africa wide. It happens Africa wide. If any country that tries to fix for their country, they'll be sabotaged. If they're not overthrown, some other thing will happen to keep them from fixing. In Buhari's case, have you heard there's a case of a $1 trillion oil block, which a $1 trillion oil block, the oil landscape explode. It's worth $1 trillion. It's called the Malibu oil block. They were basically I think Shell and Agip, who are old multinationals, basically got it for nothing. They basically stole it from Nigeria. Yeah,
right.
What Buhari did was you block back off them. One of the things, it's called Malibu oil block. Buhari got that block off them and put the oil block of a court. Yeah, until a final ruling can be made. Buhari fell ill and had to go to the UK. He fell ill. I find that very suspicious, the way he fell ill. It was the week that we found that he wasn't actually returning from his supposedly UK vacation, ill, that we hear that the nationals had gone back to Nigerian court and retrieved that oil block. Our $1 trillion oil block is still stolen. Yeah? And this is a country that cannot to give itself constant power. Only that has the budget that amounts to no more than 20 to 30 billion dollars, and you just give away $1 trillion oil block like that. And our media, and this is Africa wide, say anything because our media, and the media of all black people, by the white man.
Right.
Avoid saying the white man, but it's easier for me to just say the white man. Yeah.
Right.
And so something like our $1 trillion oil block being taken by two foreign multinationals about 10 seconds on the news. Over. And then they will give us a lot of other bullshit. Facing in Nigeria. And that's what of the economic enslavement we have.
Okay. So
develop economically, we're not allowed to develop physically by removing our leaders.
Okay. So let me ask you this. First of all, everybody in the chat room, thank you for joining us tonight. Make sure you like. If you're new to my stream, to my page, make sure you subscribe. And also hit that super chat button as well. Now, what solutions do you have in mind that we could put on the table for Africans to control their own destiny that we can implement immediately, effective immediately?
Yeah, well, solution is dissociate ourselves from the white man altogether. The white man is our problem. It is their meddling, their sabotage, anything else. More than anything else is their meddling and their sabotage.
Okay.
Kept the Africans and black people worldwide where they are. The religion they gave us. It seems that Christianity, for somebody who enslaved you, then to give you a God to worship. Makes sense. I enslaved you, but here's a God I worship. Yeah, yet I'm enslaving you. Doesn't make sense. And the God that I'm telling you to worship is a God that's saying to be good to people. Yet you didn't listen to him, but you're now offering me that opportunity to be good. Yeah.
So, but let me ask you this, Tony. But you're a Christian, though, correct?
I say I'm a Christian, but really and truly, I have lost the faith because analyze it. I've started to analyze it. Why would my enslaver, why would the person who enslaved me, who mistreated me, give me a God to worship? Why would he even give me any God to worship? What is his motive for giving me? Is it because what does he want? What is his motive? I have to ask myself that question. I cannot come up with the answer. The only answer I can come up with is to control me. If it was somebody who was nice to me that gave me that, then I'll say, right, yeah, because he wants me to, he's looking out for my good. But if somebody who's evil to me, a God to me to worship, I have to be more critical.
Right.
That's suffering this is what I've been, battling with recently. So I have not yet pulled my children out of the church or whatever, but I myself, and I'm thinking it has to be an African, my African spirituality.
And that's what in fact, I'm heading to Togo and Benin next week, and I'm going to be going to the Voodoo Festival. So, I'm starting. I want to really start demystifying that, because it's been stereotyped as being evil. The same people that forced Christianity on us, they told us that voodoo was evil and bad. So I want to really change people's perception, especially African people. Because I mean, before Europeans came to Africa, you practiced indigenous religion, either voodoo, animism. But now all of a sudden we're practicing Islam and Christianity, and we're afraid of our spiritual, indigenous spirituality. So again, I'm covering a lot of that when I go to the Voodoo Festival next week.
Yeah, it's great. I will definitely follow you. I'll be definitely following you on that to find out how you get on, because that sounds very interesting. You know, one of the things they do is our media. They also control anything that we consume, any information.
Right. They control it.
Be it entertainment, be it news, entertainment. They control it, through their agents. White man there, but they've got agents who are there to control it. Basically, anything a black man consumes, information-wise, whether it's entertainment or if it's a news or whatever, that's controlled and vetted. Make sure that we don't get enlightened. So something like now, if you watch a Nigerian movie, I'm sure you must have seen a Nigerian movie before, because they're the most famous movies. But if you watch a Nigerian movie, they always got a pastor. And the traditional religion is always an evil religion, and it's always the pastor that wins, the Christian pastor wins, and it's constantly being reinforced in the movies. The Christian pastor playing away the evil traditional,
right? Witch doctor
sort of religion.
Yeah,
witch doctor. They call them witch doctor, or whatever. So it's constantly being reinforced, and people keep going. So every African, if you don't go to church, it's like it's difficult not to go to church if you go to Africa in a Christian part. You're not in church. It's like church is everything. And they look down upon their own traditional religion, which their forefathers had for thousands of years before the white man even came. You know what I mean?
Right.
For their forefathers, I can think of is nothing else, and everything else is bad. In the Western culture, every religion is to be respected.
Right.
But in Africa, to be respected. Christianity and Muslims to be respected. The ones that have been forced on us, but our own ones is way to be. You know what I mean?
Right. No, I know exactly what you mean.
So that's one of the things, and this is one of the ways they control us. And it's the same thing worldwide. We Africans everywhere, all of us, religious people in terms of Christianity. When it comes to Christianity,
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, you will see everybody saying God, God, God this, God that, God this, Christian, Jesus this, praise Jesus that. It's never gotten us very far. And when you notice the UK, for instance, they discourage religion. They discourage religion in their society. They don't. What they say is that we religion, so we don't want you to talk religion. They say don't talk religion at work. Your clients, if you're in the social services or something, or you're working with vulnerable people, don't talk religion. But in Africa, they have a different angle to that. They don't say that in Africa. They encourage it.
Right.
Even have missionaries still in Africa to this day. You will think a continent that has so many Christians, devoted Christian, fanatical Christians, as Africa, wouldn't need missionaries. Yet they still have missionaries going to Africa, whereas in their own countries, they're Christian fanaticism. Yeah, but in Africa they encourage it. So when I start thinking about these things, I'm starting to lose my enthusiasm for Christianity, and I'm wondering, am I being exploited? You know, am I being am I being brainwashed? So, and cases of in the States, some of the poor areas of the States, they have no economy. They have not much economy or much business or commerce.
A church. That's the same situation or reality here in America as well, especially in low income communities. All right, you have no economy, but the pastor has money, and you got mega churches in the community. So yeah, same situation here in America.
Yeah, we have the same thing in the UK. In Africa, of course, there's more churches than factories being built on a daily basis, and it's the same thing. It's like we're all mirror, even though we're in different parts of the world. We're all having the same experience because the same people are behind our problem. Disengage from the white man. I know it sounds racist. Most white people don't even know what's going on. The average Joe on the street just thinks Africa, well, the uneducated Joe. Let me just say, half of the white people don't know what's going on. The other half do, but they just like the situation. They have a privilege and they don't want to speak up. Most of us don't know what's going on, so why would they be speaking up when we're not even aware of the problem? You know what I mean? So, the solution, in short, I know, yeah, and it can do overnight, but we have to disengage in the white man. So what does it mean to disengage from the white man? I suppose we can say, making sure we don't do anything. Simple as that. Let's not ask them for anything. Let's forget about asking for them for reparations, because we know they're not going to give us reparations. They've been giving us an apology, simple apology. So why do we think we're going to get reparation? Why are we asking that? Let's just not ask them for anything. So we know, because slavery, whether mental enslavement or economic enslavement, child-parent relationship. So by not asking, when you stop asking your parents for things, that's when you become a man. When you stop asking the parents, so that means for jobs. Let's not ask them for benefits. Let's not ask them, for reparations. Let's ask from them for nothing. 2 feet. Yeah, and once we get that mindset, we will go forward. We will have to go forward, because once your back is against the wall, you will find solutions. But it's when we keep meddling with the same people who are trying to sabotage you, deal with them. So stop asking them for things. What's going to happen is that we're going to look at ourselves enough. Look about what we have, and let's pull in our resources, our own resources, community. Once we got our mind of looking for this job, I have to go and find a job. Agree. Find a job. I have to do CNN and look for a job. collar and look for a job. They have to do that. They'll continue to manipulate us. Let's go and build our own business. I don't care if it's you're making $1 a day. Let's start. Every black man that hasn't got a job, go and start something today. Get busy. Business is, that's all business is. Get busy.
Yeah. Say that one more time. Say that one more time.
That's all business is getting busy. Get busy. Yeah. You find something doing, something you can do for your community. Focus on your community. Business for your community. Don't look for the white man to give you money. Don't look for his business. If you start with your community, the people that you know, it'll be easy for you to start off. Then once people see that you are not even interested in them, they'll have more attraction to you. Yeah. The other communities was, once your business is servicing your own community, your business doing well, and they'll come to you and you'll get their business as well. Yeah. So let's focus on what we have. Businesses started and just start getting busy. Idle. Just be working. Even if you're working for nothing, idle. Just get yourself busy in working and servicing your community. If it's providing meals, transport, get busy doing it. So one thing we can do. Another thing we can do, buy we make. Buy only stuff that we make. This Christmas, I tried to. I mean, obviously you cannot do it straight away, but you can. As much as you can, only buy stuff that you can get from your community. And even if it's double the price, Walmart or Asda, as they have in this UK, double the price. If you sell your local man, brother, buy it from him. Only gonna come back to you anyway. Practicing it, that money that we're giving doesn't matter. It will come back to us. Our people, our businesses will grow, and we'll get our people, our young people employed. That's, you know, doing the same thing. If you go to an Asian shop, even if the Asian shop is bang in the middle of a black community, you wouldn't see a
real quick
black person in there.
Real quick. So someone once told me what you're talking, or what you're encouraging, is a poverty mindset. What would be your response to them?
I don't see how it's a poverty mindset. It's not a poverty mindset. It's a economic. It's a commercial mindset. Working. Money. All money is a representation of your work.
Right.
Money is a representation of your work. So if we're working, no money. You're wealthy. You're wealthy. You know, it doesn't matter what I got in the bank. Forget about what I got in the bank. I can work. If I use my work to do farming, I can feed myself, feed my family. I can you know, basic level. Yeah, but the thing is that we need to start creating wealth. Make sure we keep our wealth within our community. My business, I started it. I've been running it here now. I have that philosophy behind it. Is that I'm going to work with my community. My target audience for my business is my black community.
Well, so what exactly do you do? Like what's your business? What is
We
your
do
business?
a range of things from lettings with websites, design. So what I have, the vision I have for the business is going to be a place where somebody can come and get which they want. We don't sell products at the moment, although we in e-commerce. But it wouldn't be storing products. But future, so we're gonna be getting black people, or or vendors to be able to upload on our website, yeah, and sell it on there as well. We're going to have a page of our friends, our business associates, so people can find the businesses they want. Because I found one of the things I found, I don't know if it's not so difficult. In the UK, what I found is it's almost impossible to find a black business. That's part of the engineering.
Let me. Are you familiar with Oswald Boateng?
Oswald Boateng, yeah, I've heard of him. Yeah, is he a politician?
No. He's a tailor, fashion designer in the UK. He's right off of Savile Row, which is I think he was the first black tailor, or had to have his own shop on Savile Row. I think. Don't hold me to that. I know he's on Savile Row. I don't know if he was the first black person.
I know who you're talking about now. I don't know who you're talking about. He's a Trinidadian.
No. He's from Ghana. He's Ghanaian.
Okay. Boateng is a Ghanaian name, yeah. And I'm not familiar with him. No, but there's another guy in Savile Row as well that's a Trinidadian. But he's yeah, I'm not familiar. I don't know of Oswald, but I know about the other one. He's a tailor as well. He produced some work for the Queen. But the thing is that sometimes is the odd person come up successful, yeah, right there at the top, but they're on their own. They're like an island.
Right.
They're like an island on their own. Support from the top Asians of society, yeah, color, but the majority of us cannot access that success or their success. It's like they've isolated him there at the top, and we cannot benefit from him. Efforts to drag us up. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, I understand.
He's just there.
Absolutely.
He's just there, and we're there at the bottom.
It's funny. It's funny you said that. I had a brother on last weekend or the weekend before last, and he was just saying that basically, like for example, when Indians come to San Francisco in the tech world, there's a community waiting for them. Same thing with Russians. Same thing with other, I would say, minorities here in America. But when it comes to the black community, there's no infrastructure waiting for them that will support them and help them out to get them off their feet, especially when it comes to tech. So no ecosystem. Ecosystem is the word I want to use. There's no ecosystem in place for it.
Yeah, but sometimes I wonder is it just us, or is it by design? Is there some there's some little things that I noticed in UK. This is probably by design. To find a black business, yeah, in the UK, it's almost impossible. If I try and find me a black lawyer, especially a black lawyer, you see, if you type black, yeah, you will not get a black lawyer. black does not mean black. Do you know what I mean? And then if you type African, you don't get an African lawyer. African, the word African, I realize this because of my business. I've been trying to connect with black people. So when I connect to black people, I'm always constantly typing African. What the results I get back, okay, anyway, I never what I want. The word African, the white man does not want to relinquish that. He wants to own that word African. African, you will get white businesses. Or who are selling African
in the UK.
Wow. You get white people who are selling African artifacts. You know what I mean?
Right.
Most of the African. So when something is African, I have to check who's behind it. My money to the white man. I want to be giving my money to my people who are manufacturing it. So I always like to look deeper before when I'm sourcing something. You know. So if I'm going to Amazon, for instance, and I want to get a book, I want to look at the author, make sure, because a lot of things that says Africa on it is white owned.
Right.
They don't want to relinquish that name. They own that word. And they want to own that word. They want to own the people in it. And this is the battle we have. That's it. One of the nuances I noticed. Economic manipulation of the black community is things like if there is black people can easily get into like a taxi or mini cabin car and start making money, you know, and making money for themselves. Anyway, that industry will be very highly regulated, and
right.
they'll be harassed, tickets here, left and center. And
no, I absolutely know what you mean. They do the same thing out here.
Yeah, so we have to understand this. That's why I say we just have to try and stay away from these people. They're not looking out for ourselves. So if someone you know that is sabotage you, try and keep a distance from them. And this is why what my business is about. It's about trying to focus on my community,
okay,
and trying to encourage others to do that. Yeah, and I believe if we focus on ourselves, we'll grow. The world is a big place now. We don't have to. I don't have to limit myself to. Yeah, I can work with anybody anywhere in the world. My virtual assistants go to Philippines. Why not Africa? A lot of educated people is that power. Pay them in advance to cover the internet costs. Never power, then they have to use the generator, and that cheap. Internet is cheaper, but the power is always not there. Just a few challenges like that, but it's nothing not overcome. And that's what I'm saying. The things that make sure when you hire your virtual assistant, make sure when you hire your staff, look out for ourselves like others are looking out for themselves. Because we get this guilt trade because we're always complaining about people being racism. Okay, let's stop. We have to not be racist. You know what? This is part of standing on your own 2 feet. We're not going to ask them for anything. We're not going to ask them not to be racist. We're not going to ask them for anything about racism. And get busy. That's how the way forward. Let's just get busy. And you know what? so much money. We die. Many of us are dying from high BP. We're dying from obesity. You know, all this sort of thing. We've got to say, right, we have to come off all that rubbish. All that rubbish. Water that we drink, we used to cook and everything, is not healthy for us. Distiller water. I buy a distiller. If you can invest, if you can make one investment for yourself, water distiller. Get a water distiller, distill the water you used to drink. Drink at least 3 liters of water a day. Distill your water, and then you add some, and don't use any old salt. Salt has got fluoride in it. They put fluoride in our salt. It's part of the population. In the salt you use, that's why you shouldn't get the fresh herbs. Make your herbs yourself to your food. Because if we're going to stand on our own 2 feet, we're going to have to be. We have to be economic. We have to make sure that we can balance our books. And so we need to minimize our costs to start with. Let's stop buying toiletries. I don't buy soap anymore. Best smelling of person now, but I never was. The same. I'm still the same. So I don't use soap. What you really need to do, or scour that, to scour your skin, get off the dead skin. What I use baking soda, or baking soda on the scourer, and I use that instead of soap. It works wonders. You don't need to spend money, that type of money, and look after your health.
Well, there are recipes to make homemade soap. I gotta wash my ass with some type of soap.
Yeah, you don't really need to. Soda. Use baking soda. Try it. Try it. You'll see. There's no difference. And what I found when I first used baking soda, one of the things I noticed, maybe a teaspoon. I don't know if you have a shower system.
I do.
But as an African, I always bath with a bucket.
Well, when I go to Africa, sometime I use buckets. So yeah.
Even in the UK, I still bath with a bucket. And I'll put a bucket in this bath and I fill it with water. I'll put spoons of baking soda in the water. Mascara. My cloth is quite mascara. Just clean the parts that matter, you know. And then when I finish, if I want to, the deodorant, I'll just put a dab of baking soda on the hairs underneath my arms, you know, and I'm good.
Okay. Okay.
Nobody said to me I'm smelling any more than I was before.
Oh, cool. Yeah, we had a question in the chat room. First of all, Jacqueline, Miss Everidge, I know you're a regular to the chat room, to the stream, and Kazmu. Thank you guys for your super chats. I appreciate it. And this will be the last question, Tony. Kazmu wants to know, what are your thoughts about the new leaders of Zimbabwe giving the land back to the white, I guess, farmers? What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, this is my one of the things I wanted to touch on, actually. Thank you for bringing it up. The Zimbabwe situation is just a classic case of the manipulation of by the whites. What they've done, a bunch of soldiers who they sponsored, effectively overthrow a democratically elected government.
Correct.
And the UN, yeah, it was a democratically elected government, elected leader.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And the UN said nothing about it. UN said nothing. The African Union said nothing. So the African Union is actually not even controlled by Africans. It's still controlled by the white.
Yeah, we already know that. We've done several videos on that. We already know that.
And you know, so the UN, of course, is a joke because they said nothing about it. They just allowed it to happen. And now they're saying that they're saying that the Mugabe resigned. You know, so I think it's. I saw it coming anyway. I knew that was what as soon as it was happening, I knew that was what's going on. I knew because it happens in Africa. They're always behind it. If it's not in the favor of Africans, it's usually because they're behind it. Jammeh of the Gambia.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Jammeh, Jammeh. His government was effectively. Because he had constitutionally within his rights to remain. He disputed the elections. They got the approval of his parliament to do that. But obviously, a bunch of African Uncle Toms, including my own Buhari, but I don't think Buhari was. I think Buhari was very uncomfortable about that. That was why on the day that they were going to invade, he was on a plane to London for his vacation. He became seriously ill. You know, and that was, you know, so I don't think he was 100% behind it because he's a man that always likes to follow constitution and follow the letter. And I knew what was coming. So what's going to happen to Zimbabwe now? Zimbabwe is going to go really to the whites, and the blacks are going to, and they are. They're definitely not going to get any better. They're going to get worse. The situation for the black man, they're going to get worse.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, similar to, I mean, if you look at Libya, they remove Gaddafi, Gaddafi gets worse. Same thing with Iraq. I mean, whenever they remove these leaders in his Western back, and they claim.
If I can just touch on Libya as well, because Libya situation, what's going on is that they're now evicting every single black person in Libya, deporting them back to their country. So what's what happened now is that slave is just the excuse to deport every black person who's hoping back to their African country. Using that slave thing as an excuse to deport every black back to the African country. So thousands of Nigerians are being deported back home every single day.
Right.
You know, so that Libya slave thing, I believe myself that a ruse, that was just a story they had to put out there to justify deporting thousands of Africans away from a place where they already paid to get to, legally or legally. Yeah. So that's the situation. That's the situation of the black race. We're all the same. We're all suffering the same consequences.
Right.
And we just need to get our own products, get our own natural products. If you can make your own, I saw people can use, ladies, if they want, they can use and make lipstick. You can make your lipstick from beetroot. Do it. So look at natural ways of making things. Any of the don't buy any of the processed food stuff. And we're gonna go forward and get busy. Get busy. If you're not working, if you're not busy, unemployed, don't look for anything from them. Ask them for anything. Don't complain about racism. Don't talk about slavery. In fact, if a white man tells me about slavery, I'm not a slave. We're not a slave. When they captured me and took me to America or took me to Brazil, I didn't sign up to being a slave. They're just slave. I'm not a slave. I've never defined yourself by what somebody else calls you. You captured. So why don't they use the same term when they were captured by us? Does that mean we should call them slaves? I mean, let's not talk about this. Let's not complain about them. We're not obviously going to apologize. If they bring it up, we should shout them down. Bringing up genocide they do. You know, why should they be always reminding us about but they're the ones that keep bringing it up, remind us that they did this genocide. This genocide was.
Well, let me do this. We're about to go ahead. In fact, brother, let me give a couple shout outs real quick. Let me give a shout out to Nancy. Nancy, thank you so much for supporting us over here. Really appreciate it. Thank you for your continued support. Thank you so much. It means a lot. And shout out to Doug as well, the moderator, who's always in the chat room consistently. People who consistently come to the live stream. I just want to thank you guys so much. I mean, this search for Uhuru, this platform is gonna blow up, and the people who have been here since we first started, I just want to thank you all for coming on and participating, joining us. We're gonna go ahead and close it out. Tony, you have the floor. Thank you so much for coming on. Make sure you give people your contact information, how they can reach you. They want to do business in the UK, how they can get in contact with you, all that good stuff. But go ahead, you have the floor. Go ahead and close out.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, guys. Thank you for supporting the channel. What Dynast is doing is something that is just God sent. You know, he's. I tell you, the guy. I mean, the guy is nothing short of a pioneer. What he is doing is fantastic. We need to look at going to Africa the way Dynast is doing. Even me, who's born to Africa, I want to be there for the year that I'm here. I'm working on that. If I'm getting my business off the ground, I want to be just doing most of my living in Africa, because the life what we have in countries, they make it so difficult for us. It's just we're just trying to survive, most of us. You know, I want to enjoy my continent person to try and make it like a duty to go to Africa one time in their life. In the same way a Muslim has a duty to go to Mecca, and must see Africa at least one time in his life. That's the motherland. Thank you very much, everybody. And what if you can get me on Twitter, Pro-U Services, YOU Services. You can get me under Emeka, also in LinkedIn. Also in LinkedIn. Me on YouTube under Pro-U Services Limited, using them. Yeah. And I would love to connect with as many people. Anybody who has a similar mindset to me.
Hey, real quick, Tony. How do you so I can go ahead and put it in the chat room. How do you spell as far as your I would say you're on Facebook, are you?
I'm on Facebook, but I'm not really big on Facebook.
Okay, is it okay?
I think I'm
so your handle, your Twitter handle. How do you spell it? Is it PROU?
PROYOU.
Proyou. Pro you. Okay. Uh-huh.
With an SERVICES.
Uh-huh.
Handle. Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
YouTube, I have ProU Services Ltd. Limited Ltd. ProU Services Ltd. All one word, no spaces. That's YouTube. I would love to get. I mean, I just started my YouTube channel. I would love to get some subscribers on it. I haven't really.
Hold on. Guys, make sure you go to Tony's YouTube and subscribe. All right, that's a call to that's a call to action. Make sure
I want to start putting some videos out. Yeah.
Yeah, and then also too, if you know, I can show you how to rip this video, and you could put it on your YouTube page.
Okay, brilliant. Thank you. That would help.
Where you could download this, video and put it on your YouTube page, so you can have some content. So
Yeah,
Pro User LTD, got it.
Yeah, LinkedIn as well. I'm on the Emeka T LinkedIn. MEKA and then T for Tony. NWOSU. T Nwosu in LinkedIn. So if you want to connect there as well, that'd be good. Very much, Dynast.
Oh man, thank you for coming on. I appreciate you. I know it's late over in the UK, so you know I'm glad you
that's okay.
Stayed up and came on. But everybody in the chat, Dynast Amir, search for Uhuru. If you're new to the stream or to the page, make sure you subscribe and share. Everyone that super chatted, thank you so much for super chatting. Make sure you go to search for Uhuru on Instagram, Snapchat, Twitter, and Facebook. Make sure you go to searchforhuru.com. Make sure you go to amazon.com, search your name, Dynast Amir. Please buy a book. I've written several. And also go to dynasamir.com. Till next time, guys, we will be back on later on tonight. Thank you for the support. Till next time. Peace. Bye-bye.